The leash snapped taut in my hand as Max lunged toward the stranger's dog, a sleek border collie with eyes like polished obsidian. And in that split second, I felt the world tilt. Not from the pull, but from the man's gaze crashing into mine like a rogue wave-off Puget Sound. He was there, uninvited yet inevitable, his smile a quiet storm that stirred something buried deep in my chest, a hunger I'd starved for years. And just like that, with leaves crunching under our boots and the first chill of October biting the air, I knew this encounter wasn't chance. It was the unraveling of everything I'd built to keep myself safe. I wiped the sweat from my brow, the kind that came not from the jog, but from the ghost chasing me through every mile. Seattle's dog park in Discovery Park was my sanctuary, a sprawling green escape where the Salish Sea whispered secrets to the evergreens, and I could pretend my life wasn't a house of cards waiting for the next gust. At 28, I'd mastered the art of invisibility, a graphic designer by day, blending pixels into forgettable logos for tech startups in Belltown. By night, scrolling through Grindr with one thumb while the other clutched a beer, never swiping right on anyone who looked too real. My ex, Ryan, had shattered that illusion 2 years ago, his fists on my skin, his words carving deeper. "You're not man enough for this." I'd fled Spokane for the rain-soaked anonymity of the Emerald City, dragging Max along as my only faithful shadow. But shadows have a way of lengthening at dawn. That morning, the park was emptier than usual, the fog clinging to the ground like a lover reluctant to let go. Max, my golden retriever with a coat like spun sunlight, bounded ahead, his joy untainted by the weight I carried. I unclipped his leash, watching him vanish into the underbrush toward the woods that bordered the park, dense firs and cedars that swallowed trails whole. "Easy, boy," I muttered, but my voice lacked conviction. I was lost in the rhythm of my thoughts, replaying the voicemail from my sister, Elena, back in Spokane. "Alex, Mom's asking about you again. When are you coming home? We miss the real you. The real me." What a cruel joke. Then a bark, sharp, playful, cut through the mist. Max emerged, tail wagging like a metronome, circling a dog I'd never seen. The border collie, lean and alert, herding my dog with effortless grace. And there was the man, kneeling beside her, his hands steady on the leash, his laugh low and resonant, like thunder rolling distant over the Olympics. He looked up and our eyes met. Auburn hair cropped close, a jawline shadowed with stubble, flannel shirt rolled to his elbows, revealing forearms corded from. What? Logging? Construction? He couldn't have been more than 32, but his eyes held the wear of someone who'd walked through fires I could only imagine. "Sorry about that," he said, standing in one fluid motion, his voice carrying a faint drawl, southern, maybe Texas, softened by years away. "Lila here's got a herding instinct that won't quit. Your boy's a good sport." I forced a smile, clipping Max's leash back on before he could bolt again. "No harm. Max loves a chase. I'm Alex." "Jordan." He extended a hand, calloused and warm, engulfing mine in a grip that lingered a beat too long. Electricity hummed where our skin touched, a current I hadn't felt since Ryan's early days before the poison set in. Up close, he smelled of pine and coffee, the kind of scent that rooted you to the earth. "First time I've seen you here. You a local?" "Sort of. Moved up from Eastern Washington a couple years back." I shrugged, hating how my voice hitched, how his proximity made my pulse stutter. "You?" "Passing through, but Seattle's got its hooks in me already." His grin widened, revealing a dimple that punched straight through my defenses. Lila needed a run, and I needed, well, fresh air. Woods called to me. We fell in a step as the dogs tugged us toward the tree line. The conversation easy at first, whether the best breweries in Fremont, how Max once ate an entire Thanksgiving turkey. But beneath it, a current pulled, questions unspoken hanging in the air like the fog. Why was I here so early when the park was a ghost town? Why did Jordan's eyes flick to my lips when he thought I wasn't looking? By the time we reached the fork in the trail, one path looping back to the park, the other vanishing into the old growth, I felt exposed raw, like he'd peeled back a layer without trying. "Ever hike the full loop?" he asked, nodding toward the woods. "It's killer this time of year. Mushrooms popping up like secrets." I hesitated, Max whining at my feet. The rational part of me screamed to bail. Strangers in the woods, bad horror movie trope. But the ache in my chest, the one that whispered, "What if?" won out. "Lead the way." The trail narrowed quickly, ferns brushing our legs, the canopy above knitting sunlight into golden threads. Jordan walked with a confidence that bordered on swagger, pointing out Devil's Club and the faint tracks of deer. Lila trotted ahead, a black and white blur, while Max stuck close to me, sensing my unease. Or maybe it was the way Jordan's shoulder occasionally grazed mine, accidental yet charged, sending sparks up my arm. "Tell me something real," he said after a mile of comfortable silence, his tone shifting to something deeper, more intimate. "What's a guy like you doing out here alone at the crack of dawn? Chasing ghosts?" My laugh came out brittle. "Something like that. You know how it is, city life's a grind. Needed to breathe." He stopped, turning to face me fully, the trail forgotten. His eyes, hazel flecked with green, searched mine with an intensity that pinned me in place. "I see you, Alex. The way you hold back, like you're waiting for the other shoe to drop. Been there. After my divorce last year. Yeah, surprise, I'm bi, and she wasn't thrilled. I hit the road. Thought running would fix it. Spoiler, it doesn't. The confession hung between us, raw and unfiltered. Divorce. B. Words that cracked open his world, inviting me in. My throat tightened. I'd buried my own truths so deep, they felt like fossils. Ryan. My ex. He wasn't just an asshole. He made me feel like loving who I love was a flaw. A weakness. Jordan's hand found my arm, steadying, not pitying. "That's a shame, not yours. Strength isn't hiding. It's stepping into the light, even when it burns." We stood there, breaths mingling in the cool air, the dogs panting softly at our feet. Then, as if the forest itself conspired, a rustle in the underbrush, a deer bolting, or something more. Jordan's grip tightened, pulling me closer, our bodies aligning in the dappled light. His lips brushed my forehead, tentative, then sure, igniting a fire I'd long denied. I tilted up, meeting him halfway, the kiss fierce and forgiving, tasting of salt and possibility. But as we broke apart, hearts hammering, a shadow flickered at the trail's edge, too deliberate for wildlife. Jordan tensed, whispering, "Did you see that?" The woods, once inviting, now loomed with secrets, and in that moment, I realized following him hadn't just changed my morning. It had cracked open the door to a life I'd never dared imagine. The kiss lingered on my lips like a brand as we pushed deeper into the woods, the trail twisting like veins through the ancient forest. Jordan's hand slipped into mine, fingers interlacing with a naturalness that terrified and thrilled me. Max and Lila scouted ahead, oblivious to the shift in gravity between us. Birds called overhead, ravens, maybe with their croak-like laughter mocking the fragile thing we just ignited. "We should head back," I murmured, but my feet betrayed me, carrying us forward. "What?" Jordan's voice was a rumble against my ear, his breath warm on my neck. "The world's out there, waiting to judge. In here, it's just us. Us." The word echoed, heavy with promise and peril. We'd veered off the main path onto a lesser trail, one locals whispered about, abandoned logging roads from the 20s, choked with salal and sword ferns. Sunlight pierced the canopy in spears, illuminating mushrooms like forgotten jewels at our feet. Jordan paused to pluck one, a chanterelle, holding it up like an offering. "See? Beauty in the decay. Life finds a way." I wanted to believe him. God, how I did. But the shadow from earlier gnawed at me, a silhouette too human, darting behind a massive Douglas fir. Paranoia, I told myself. Seattle's fog played tricks, turning stumps into lurkers. Still, I quickened my pace, Jordan matching it effortlessly. He shared snippets of his life as we walked. Born in Austin, a carpenter by trade, drifting north after his marriage imploded. She found out about the guys. Said it made her question everything. Fair enough, but it gutted me. Made me wonder if I was built wrong. "You're not," I said fiercely, stopping to face him. Our hands parted, but the space between us hummed. I spent years thinking I was. Ryan. He didn't hit me until I admitted it. Said it was my fault for confusing him. The words tumbled out, unbidden, the dam cracking under Jordan's steady gaze. His face softened, then hardened with anger, not at me, but for me. "He was a coward," Jordan growled, stepping closer until I could count the flecks in his eyes. "You deserve someone who sees your fire, not snuffs it." His thumb traced my jaw, tilting my chin up, and then he kissed me again, slower this time, exploratory like mapping uncharted territory. Tongues met, tentative then bold, and I melted into him, hands fisting his flannel, pulling him flush. The forest faded, There was only the heat of his body, the scrape of stubble, the soft moan he drew from my throat. We might have stayed lost in that embrace forever, but Lila's sharp bark shattered the spell. She stood rigid at the trail's bend, hackles up, staring into a thicket. Max joined her, growling low. Jordan pulled back, alert. Easy, girl. He advanced slowly, me at his side, heart still racing from more than fear. The thicket parted under his push, revealing not a threat, but a clearing, a hidden glade ringed by moss-draped boulders, a creek gurgling like a lullaby. Sunlight pooled here, turning the air golden, wildflowers nodding in the breeze. Whoa, I breathed. It was magical, like stumbling into a fairy tale carved from the wild heart of the Northwest. Jordan grinned, the tension easing. Knew this place existed. Old-timer spot, they say. Perfect for. He trailed off, waggling his eyebrows, and I laughed. Genuine, freeing. We spread our jackets on the moss, the dogs flopping nearby, and talked for hours. He confessed dreams of opening a tiny cabin workshop in the Cascades, crafting furniture from reclaimed wood. I admitted my sketches, secret illustrations of queer heroes in fantastical worlds, hidden in my laptop. Show me sometime, he urged, and for the first time, I wanted to. As noon approached, shadows lengthening, we packed up reluctantly. But on the way out, unease crept back. Footprints, not ours, fresh in the mud, paralleled the trail. Hikers. I ventured, but Jordan's jaw set. Could be, or someone watching. His protectiveness stirred something primal in me, a mix of fear and fierce want. At the park's edge, we exchanged numbers, the promise of coffee tomorrow sealing it. Don't ghost me, Alex, he teased, but his eyes were serious. Wouldn't dream of it. I watched him drive off in a battered Ford truck, Lila's head out the window, then leashed Max for the trek home. My apartment in Queen and overlooked the sound, but today it felt less like a cage. I showered, the hot water washing away the forest cling, but not the ache low in my belly, the replay of his touch. Evening brought Elena's call again. Alex, seriously. Mom's health is slipping. Parkinson's, remember? She wants to see you before. Her voice cracked, guilt twisted like a knife. I cut ties after Ryan, convinced my lifestyle would scandalize them, small-town Catholics, after all. But Elena knew, had always known, her quiet support my lifeline. I'll think about it, I lied, hanging up to the buzz of a text. Jordan, missed you 5 minutes after leaving. Dinner? My treat. My thumbs flew. Hell yes. That night, over ramen at a hole in the wall in Capitol Hill, we dove deeper. He spoke of his ex-wife, the betrayal's sting, I of Ryan's rage, the bruises that faded but scars that didn't. Laughter mixed with tears, his hand over mine under the table, thumbs stroking circles that promised more. Walking me home, he kissed me goodnight against my door, slow and searing, leaving me breathless. But as I locked up, a flicker outside, headlights idling across the street, then vanishing. Unease prickled. Coincidence? Or had the woods followed me home? Sleep evaded me that night. Dreams tangled with Jordan's face and shadowy figures lurking just beyond reach. By morning, resolve hardened. I'd face whatever this was head-on. Texting Jordan, I suggested another hike, deeper this time, into the wood's heart. His reply, lead or follow? Follow, I typed heart-pounding. Little did I know, the path ahead held not just romance, but revelations that would force me to confront the man I'd buried, and the danger stalking us both. The alarm blared at 5 a.m., yanking me from a nightmare where Ryan's fists morphed into branches, ensnaring me in endless dark. I silenced it, Max's wet nose nudging my hand for his walk. Outside, Seattle slumbered under a slate sky, the Space Needle a silhouette against bruised clouds. Coffee scalded my tongue as I laced boots, Jordan's text from last night, glowing on my phone. Can't wait to get lost with you. Butterflies warred with dread in my gut. The idling car replayed in my mind, a ghost I couldn't shake. We met at the park again, Jordan arriving with Lila bounding from his truck, a thermos of spiked cider in hand. For the chill, he winked, pulling me into a hug that smelled of sawdust and safety. His lips found mine briefly, a spark in the gloom, before the dog dragged us toward the trailhead. Today, we aimed for the hidden lake locals called Mirror Pond. 3 miles in, off the beaten path, where the forest thickened into a cathedral of green. Conversation flowed like the creek we'd cross, his childhood in Texas heat, chasing fireflies with his brother, my sketches evolving into a graphic novel pitch, queer nights battling inner demons. "You're brave," he said, squeezing my hand, putting that out there, learning from the best. I nodded at him, warmth blooming. But midway, Lila stiffened, ears pricked. A snap, branch breaking, echoed from the left. Jordan froze. "Bear," I whispered, pulse spiking. "Nah, too deliberate." He unclipped Lila's leash, sending her scouting. She returned whining, unharmed but agitated. We pressed on, but now every rustle raised hackles. At the pond, a glassy oval ring by alders, we shed packs, skipping stones while dogs splashed. Jordan stripped to his waist, wading in, water beating on his tattooed chest. A compass rose over his heart, arrow pointing north. "Reminds me to keep moving forward," he explained, beckoning me. I joined him, jeans soaked, the cold shocking clarity into my veins. We kissed in the shallows, water lapping our thighs, his hands roaming with reverence, down my back, under my shirt, igniting trails of fire. "Alex," he murmured against my neck, "you're undoing me." I arched into him, lost in the rhythm, the world narrowing to his touch, his taste of cider and want. Emerging, we dried by the shore, sharing the thermos, dreams spilling freer. He wanted a life untethered, cabins, carvings, maybe kids someday with the right partner. I confessed the novel's core, a hero fleeing abuse, finding love in the wild. "Sounds like us," he teased, but his eyes held heat. The hike back was shadowed. Those footprints again, closer now, boot prints mixing with ours. "Someone's tailing us," Jordan muttered, positioning himself between me and the brush. At the park, he scanned the lot. Empty, save his truck. "Stay with me tonight?" My motel's neutral ground. Temptation warred with caution. "Okay." We grabbed takeout, heading to his room in Ballard, a cozy space smelling of him, tools scattered on a table. Over burgers, he carved a small oak pendant, wolf's head emerging under his knife. "For protection," he said, looping it over my neck. It warmed against my skin as we tumbled to the bed, clothes shedding like old skins. His body over mine was worship, slow explorations, gasps and praises, my name a mantra on his lips. We crested together, tangled and spent, his arms my harbor. Afterward, whispering in the dark, he shared more. The divorce papers finalized last month, a fresh start pulling him west. "And you? That family call." Guilt resurfaced. "Mom's sick. I should go back, but fear. Fear's a liar." He kissed my temple. "We'll face it together." Sleep claimed us, but at 2 a.m., a knock, sharp, insistent. Jordan bolted up, grabbing a hammer from his bag. "Stay here." Peering through the peephole, he cursed. No one, but the air felt charged wrong. Morning brought clarity. "Check out my place." En route, Elena called. "Alex, it's bad. Come home. Please." Jordan squeezed my thigh. "Go. I'll drive you." Spokane loomed like a specter, but with him beside me, it felt survivable. Little did I know, the shadow in the woods wasn't random. It wore Ryan's face, vengeance brewing in the pines. The drive east blurred into hours of asphalt and evergreens. 90 slicing through the Cascades like a scar. Jordan's truck hummed steady, Lila and Max dozing in the back, while his hand rested on my knee, an anchor against the storm inside me. We'd packed light, my duffel stuffed with clothes and that wolf pendant, now a talisman against the unknown. Spokane, the city of my birth, wheat fields and river bends, where I'd learned to hide in plain sight. Ryan's shadow lingered there, in the bars where we'd met, the apartment where he'd broken me. "You sure about this?" Jordan asked, glancing over as we crested Snoqualmie Pass, rain sheeting the windshield. His profile, strong and sure, eased a knot in my chest. "With you?" "Yeah." I covered his hand with mine, tracing the veins like rivers on a map. Last night's intimacy replayed in flashes, his weight pinning me gently, the way he'd mapped my scars with lips and fingers, turning pain to power. It wasn't just sex, it was reclamation, a bridge from isolation to this fragile us. We stopped in CLE Elm for gas and coffee, the diner's neon buzzing under gray skies. Inside, locals eyed us, Two men sharing a booth, shoulders brushing. Whispers followed, but Jordan's arm draped casual over the seat back, claiming space. "Ignore him," he murmured, stealing a fry. "Small towns test you. Pass, and you're gold." His words steadied me, but Elena's texts piled up. "Mom's asking for you. Hurry." By twilight, we crossed the Idaho border, the land flattening to golden Palouse, my childhood unfolding like an old film. Jordan shared stories to fill the silence, his brothers coming out in a Bible Belt blaze, the family fracture that forged his wanderlust. "Love's not a straight line," he said. "It's a loop, bringing you back stronger." Spokane greeted us with chill wind off the Spokane River, streetlights haloed in mist. Elena's house in South Hill, a modest rancher with porch swing, creaking memories, glowed welcoming. She met us at the door, 30 like me but world-weary, her hug fierce. "Alex, God, you look alive." Her eyes flicked to Jordan, softening. "And who's this?" "Jordan. Friend." The word undersold, but Elena's smile said she saw through. Mom lay in the living room, frail in her recliner, Parkinson's tremor silvering her hands. "Alexander," she whispered, tears welling. "My boy." I knelt, taking her hand, the year's gulf narrowing in that touch. Dad hovered in the kitchen, gruff, not his welcome, but his eyes held questions. Dinner was strained, pot roast and small talk, Jordan charming with tales of Seattle rains. Later, Elena pulled me aside. "He's good for you. Ryan was poison. This guy's light." I nodded, throat tight, confessing the wood's weirdness. "Watch your back," she warned. "Ryan's still around." Heard he's spiraling. Sleep in my old room felt like regression, Jordan bunking on the couch at my insistence. Boundaries for Mom's sake. But midnight found him slipping in, wordless, curling behind me. Couldn't stay away. He breathed, arms wrapping secure. We didn't make love, just held, his heartbeat sinking mine, a bulwark against ghosts. Dawn brought confrontation. A knock, insistent. Dad answered, voice rising. I bolted down, Jordan at my heels, to find Ryan on the stoop, reeking of whiskey, eyes wild. "Alex, you think you can run?" "With him." Spittle flecked his beard, fists clenched. Time fractured. Ryan lunged, but Jordan stepped forward, calm as steel. "Back off, man. He's done with you." Ryan swung, grazing Jordan's jaw, but Dad and I pulled him back, Elena dialing 911. Sirens wailed distant, Ryan's curses fading as cops cuffed him. "Stalking charge," the officer said later. "We got reports, your car, the woods. He's been following since Seattle." Horror dawned. The shadows, the knocks, Ryan unraveling. Mom, witnessing from her chair, reached for me. "I'm sorry, son, for not seeing sooner." Tears flowed, forgiveness a balm. In the aftermath, Jordan iced his jaw, grinning lopsided. "Told you we'd face it." That night, with Ryan jailed, we slipped away to the riverfront, walking under bridges strung with lights. "Marry me," he joked, then serious. "Not now, but someday. Build that life." I kissed him fierce, the water rushing witness. "Yes, to all of it." Back home, Mom rallied, her blessing whispered over pie. "Love who loves you back." Elena hugged us goodbye, promising visits. The drive west healed wounds, Spokane's shrinking rear view. In Seattle, life bloomed. My novel pitched, accepted, Jordan's cabin rising in the woods. We adopted a rescue pup, blending our pack. The stranger from the park became my forever, proving love isn't found. It's followed into whatever wilds await. But the real change? Me. No more hiding. In his arms, I stepped in a light, unbreakable,